Welcome back, y'all. Another episode of the Ari and Sid Show. I'm Ari.
And I'm Sid. We're forever friends, and this is the shit we care about.
On any given day, you know the drill. We have conversations about meaningful shit, sometimes some not so meaningful shit. And so we made this, a podcast to talk about the meaningful shit together and spread some awareness and learn from each other along the way, outside of our text threads.
Absolutely. So, as always, if you hear some shit you agree with, or you want to stay connected and help make some change, please feel free to follow us on social media, like, share, comment, review, all that good jazz. And any information that we shared today as far as resources, of course, we'll always list those in our show notes and in the episode description.
Yes. So we're just going to get right into it today. No funny business. We're excited to learn about some chakras and Reiki. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to learn, right? If that's right or not. So we have a guest with us today.
Yeah. So continually on, with our April theme of spirituality and wellness and all that jazz, we have another guest with us. So Danny Wilson is here with us today, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself. But I have the beautiful privilege of being her cousin, so just shout out to her for being family and joining us today. But Danny, please, of course, introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, what you do, and a little bit more about yourself.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be with you today. I am Danique, but I go by Danny Wilson. I reside in Arizona. I am a Reiki practitioner, Reiki 2, and I am also an intuitive reader as well. And so I just love helping people, healing people, and just really giving others another way of going about just healing in general. We don't have to always just do the Western medicine way. There's other ways that you can do, really just go within to help yourself. And I love to help people just get more information and provide them with ways that they are able to go within and heal themselves, and also things that I can do to also help.
Okay, so we talked about that, like our episode's going to be about chakra healing and Reiki. So for the folks that don't know, can you put it like as simple as possible? What is Reiki, and how is Reiki aligned with chakras, or like where do the two kind of like exist together?
So Reiki, it's pretty much universal life force energy. So everyone has that energy within them, but we're just not as tapped in as a lot of our ancestors are. So what tends to happen, you're able to go through a training where you're able to get some attunement, and that helps you get connected within that energy field. Because with Reiki, even when you do receive Reiki, what the practitioner is doing is tapping into your own energy. So they're pretty much that third party, or that in-between person that helps tap into that God force energy to bring it through you, since we're not as tapped in as we should be typically. And so that's pretty much what Reiki is, because if you've heard of like your aura and stuff, like we all have that energy field. And so Reiki is a way for someone to come in and help you get aligned and really, it's in a way like kind of researching your body in certain aspects, because when you're doing Reiki, you're able to fill into different energy fields. And as you do Reiki, you do go across the different chakras. So it does come hand in hand, because placements of your hands in different areas, either if you're doing it distant or even if you're doing it in person, there's hands that you place on those areas, which it will be, with chakras, there's pretty much 7 main chakras, but there's technically more. So with Reiki, you'll be placing your hands on those parts of the body as well as other parts of the body. And with that, you're able to feel into that energy to see if it's clogged or if it's clear, if there's something needed to kind of readjust. So that's pretty much how it goes hand in hand. And again, the practitioners were just utilizing the God force energy to help you with clearing. It's kind of like how when people say, oh, my head feels cloudy, there's different parts of your body that can also feel cloudy. That can be through diet, that can be through, stress, just like the day-to-day, the life in general, that can cause blockages within certain parts of your body. So that helps kind of move it and get it flowing again, how it should be flowing, kind of like little engines, so you have to be serviced. And
I was actually going to ask you, and I'm glad you gave an example. I was going to ask you how one would know that they need healing in their chakras, right? So you mentioned if they're feeling like their head is clouded, or they're, is it like fatigue and like sluggishness, part of something somebody would say, like, I feel like I need to experience, or what is it called? Would I be coming to you and receiving Reiki healing? Is that the proper way to say it?
Well, you can say either way. So you can just say Reiki or Reiki healing. But yeah, it's pretty much just Reiki. That's what it's called. So you'll go to like a Reiki session. You're able to do in-person session and also distant. Similar to what I did with Sydney, since we're in 2 different states, I was able to send it to her virtually, And with that, it's really powerful because you're able to, with consent of the other person. You always want, with any practitioner, you always want to make sure, even if you're trying to do something nice, you want consent from that person. And that's when you really tap into their aura. Because again, all of us have that auric field. We have 7 layers of auric field. So then what you do is you kind of not really break through, but you go through that field. And even with that, when you get like an in-person session, you get an aura cleansing as well before you really get into tapping into the body. Because again, that's your field. No one can really penetrate you until you go through that auric field. And so as you go through that auric field, then you're able to tap into the body and really hone in. The main thing you want to do, even if you're not getting Reiki, to really tap into to yourself, is really being still and really focusing on your intuition. Because that's what it is, even with Reiki as well. Because a lot of times when someone's providing Reiki to you, they may get a lot of intuitive messages in certain areas. So when you're done with the session, they can say like, hey, when I got to your heart space, it felt like this, because what happens is, as a practitioner, if I'm going through different areas of you, I can take on that energy. So then I'm able to tell you like, hey, this is what I felt. So this is some things that you may want to do to work on that area.
Wow. So you could send something that somebody wouldn't even be necessarily cognizant of. So if I went to you and I'm like, I'm feeling like, the only one I could think of is clouded because you said it. So my head is clouded, but then I come to you and then you're sensing my energy and healing my chakras. You could say, wow, your heart chakra, I felt something there, but you don't necessarily give like therapy, right? You just give tools that somebody could use to kind of help release whatever is going on with their heart chakra. Is that right?
Depending on like the practitioner, they may know a little bit more of ways that can benefit you. Typically, like when you go into Reiki, you may have like other things that you do. Like I know people who practice Reiki, but they're also like a doula, or they're also this. So with that, it can come hand in hand. So they can say, hey, maybe you can start using this herb, and that can help you with this symptom or whatnot, or, you know, different practices, like maybe you should be going into nature more. There's something I felt where you have a disconnect, and that's something you need to really open back up. It can be really as simple as that. With a lot of different people, some people need to tap into more self-care. So when you're really going and tapping into that energy field, you'll feel like, hey, you're not doing the proper self-care that you need. So maybe take a bath, maybe really sit with yourself, journal. Like there's so many things that you can do. And as you continue to practice, you become more stronger with your Reiki. And it's also you become stronger with tapping in, because with Reiki, one of the main things you want to do is also provide Reiki to yourself. So as a practitioner, it's beneficial for you to do daily Reiki on yourself. So something quick that we're able to do is like a Reiki shower, which will go from like head all the way down, you know, to our feet. And it's kind of like showering ourselves with that life force energy. And it's kind of like a sweep in a way. So you just kind of go down, and it helps clear you up, because one of the things that's very important is making sure the practitioner is aligned, making sure the practitioner is clear, you know. So what I would do, I would make sure I have like a protection stone or maybe necklace or something around me, and I cleanse my space before I go and practice. Because some people, as you continue on, like you'll get more sensitive to other energy fields, but it's also very important to make sure your energy is not going into someone else. And also, because you're tapping into someone's energy field, once you are finished with the session, you do the proper precautions to make sure that is not delivered to you. And it's not a negative or positive thing. It's like one of those, like, I don't want to be, if I know I'm not happy, I don't want to be happy all of a sudden because I grabbed that from you. If I'm dealing with someone who is dealing with a lot of trauma at that point, I don't want to absorb it. And then I don't know why I'm angry. I don't know why I'm this, because I got that energy. So you want to make sure that you have your protections in place. And once you get into like Reiki 2, you're able to get a symbol or so that will help you with breaking the connection once you're done with your session, which is very important. I'm so glad. I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that though, because I think that like right now we're in a space of like, there is a rise of this emergence of like people who claim themselves to be like, like spiritual, or offering themselves like services in like healing services. And they don't do the work of like protecting themselves or creating a space where like they're ensuring that they're also protecting the people that they are healing, right, or caring for, right? Like you mentioned, like all these steps that you take before you even start a session with folks, and like for yourself and for them. And I think that's super, super important. And that speaks to you as a practitioner, because like you said, like this is intimate work, like, you know what I'm saying? And like, and you don't want to be carrying those energies, whether they're good or not, they're not yours. So I think that's super important that you mentioned that. I do have a question because, so we've talked a bit, and Ariana's mentioned it too, like the head space and like feeling groggy. And then you mentioned also the heart space. And you mentioned that there are a bunch of different chakras, but there's like 7 that like we kind of like focus on or are well known. Can you tell us what those 7 are? Yes. So the first one, so with chakras, it starts from the bottom up. So your first chakra will be your root chakra. And so that one is like the base of your spine at the bottom, and it's like red. So I'll show you guys a kind of a picture of what I'm going to be talking about. This right here, which is your root. That is the first chakra. So that one is like you're grounded. So like when people are like, oh, you need to get grounded, you want to probably do like a meditation or something focusing on your root. And with me, I'm like an air sign. So I'm always like, ooh. So kind of, center myself and learn to really ground down, and I usually don't have any issues with my root chakra, but I know I have to make sure I'm grounded. For sure.
Yeah.
So that one is that one will be like security too. Like if you're not feeling like really secure in where you're at, then you can find some fogginess or it not being as clear. Again, like I said, with that engine may need a little tune up. And then so the second one is going to be this orange one. And so that one is going to be the sacral chakra, which that sacral one, if you look there, it's like right below like your belly button or your navel. Okay. That's like orange. And that one is like your creativity, healing, emotion, intuition. The third one, which is right here, it's the yellow. That is your solar plexus. So that one is like below like your breast area above your navel. So it's right here, as you can see on the picture. That one is again yellow. That is like just your power, your protectiveness, just your intellect, things like that. And then next is going to be this green one. And your green one is your heart chakra. So your heart chakra is going to be like love, compassion, just your emotional balance. And then the next one, which is the fifth one, is the blue one right here, which is your throat chakra, which that one for me is always up and down because that's like your expression. A lot of people tend to not be as communicative as they need to be. So they'll find that their throat chakra, it's a little gray in there, That means you need to be more expressive. You need to communicate more. And that's very important, just in general. With any relationship you have with family, friends, whomever, it's very important that you don't block that. Like if you feel like you want to speak, like definitely speak and work out that throat chakra muscle. And then the next one is your third eye, which is this one right here. And so your third eye is going to be like a indigo purplish color. That is just your, again, that intuition again. It can be your like your psychic power, your intuition, your awareness, spiritually. And that one's right there, as we know, like right between the brow. And then the last one is your crown, which is right here at the top of your head. That one could be like a white goldish color. That one is more of enlightenment, your energy, like your cosmic connection. That one, which is I don't want to say a popular one, but when you're really practicing like with Reiki, a lot of times when you say you want to envision this white light that is coming from your crown and it's going to source. So even if you're not attuned with Reiki, like if you decide you want to do like a little meditation, you can picture like a white light coming from your source, your crown, and going into the heavens to obtain that message from spirit or God or whoever your source is, whatever you call your source, So that one is a very important one too. So what I typically see a lot, majority is going to be a lot of throat chakra, heart chakra. Those are the main ones I typically see that are more clogged or the wheels are not turning the way they need to. But again, you can be smooth as a button one month. The next month, you may go for a cleansing and it can be completely different. And it just things, it's like, it's not like you're doing something bad, or you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm just I'm just not it because all my chakras are not where it should be. Like, don't think of that because it will change depending on what's going on. It could be, oh, I just have like, this new project and it's a little stressful, but I'm excited. And that can, that can be a reason why something is not as clear. But you are able to go and get like those attunements, and that will help you clear up. And that way, all your engines are turning correctly. So now source energy can flow the way it should. Locked.
Because I think that is so dope that one, I really did not expect for you to say that like intuition. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, right? Because people say like trust your gut or whatever, and like in the sacral space, like I figured you say it at the top, but I didn't think you would down there. But that's interesting and really telling. Especially for like, I don't know, in my head, I'm thinking in terms of like women in pregnancy and stuff. But go ahead, Anna.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I have a question. How similar this also speaks to kind of what Sydney was saying earlier about people having claims to like healing tools that they can, give to people. And I've also seen a lot, like a rise in like people claiming that they're clairvoyant, which could be true, could not be true. But how similar is Reiki to clairvoyance? Is there a connection there, or are those two separate things in your practice?
So it's two separate things, but it's one of those things. A lot of people, everyone has pretty much like some type of clair. Some people's are more stronger than others. And like with me, like what I've been learning is like, I've been learning like a bunch of different ones I have. And I'm like, huh? Like, I didn't even know what it was. Like, I didn't have a real name for it. But everyone has those gifts. And right now, like over the last year, it's been like a season of people really discovering themselves because they had to really like sit down. And then they realized, wow, like, when they had to really sit with themselves and go face to face with self, it's just like, whoa, I may be a lot different than what I thought I was. Or I may have thought I would be like, even with me, like, I'm like, I thought I would just be working at the bank forever and doing all this stuff. And then God sat me down last year. It's like, girl, no, this is what I'm running from it. Like, no, that's not the structure I thought I would have. And then, God sat me down like, no, this is where you need to be. So now I'm like outside of that because I was able to really tap into my gifts and also become more confident in like, hey, I have like a powerful gift and God wants me to start utilizing that. Then why not? And so clairvoyance is, I feel like that was like one of the popular ones I hear people say, but yeah, it's likely that they do have it, but again, some are stronger than others, but it takes practice with anything. Like even with Reiki, I'm like not years into Reiki yet, but as I continue to practice, then I get stronger and stronger in my ability. And things will come even more and more easier. And I can, through practice and also as I continue to help others, then I can also have more knowledge on, hey, I remember this happened to one of my clients before. And so I know this will be able to help because I have all these studies showing from this person that this is something that helps. So I would definitely like with anyone, like if they say they have it, then some people be lying, but like they most likely do have something or was able to tap into something new within them that they never knew that they had.
Yeah.
But it can go hand in hand. It's not like the same thing, but all of it ends up going hand in hand. Because like I said, typically, like as I've been learning more about Reiki, but then also the people I've been around who also do Reiki, there's so many more gifts that it ends up unlocking. Because when you Reiki attunement, it's like a micro magnifying glass. As soon as you're It's like you have a magnifying glass on everything, and you feel more sensitive to energy, just like little by little as you continue on with your attunement. Like you're just so much more aware, and your intuition starts to really spike up as well. And that's just with the attunement. And then as you continue to practice, it's like you get more stronger in that intuition and that knowledge. And it's just like, whoa. Like and then even with that, it's like when you like end up starting to like change your diet to like, as you start eliminating certain type of foods, then you start to feel more clear and like the messages that you get. And it's kind of like a domino effect in a way.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned like Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. So I'm wondering, like, if someone was coming or like they wanted to, like, if they were listening to this and like, I'm interested, I kind of want to explore that. Is there like, when they're booking a Reiki session, do they have to differentiate? Like, I want Reiki 1 or Reiki 2, or like, what does that mean?
So when you first start out, if you want to actually learn how to do Reiki, you start with Reiki 1. Now with Reiki 1, it's not technically a practitioner level. If you want to, you can start doing it on people. But typically with Reiki 1, it's pretty much you'll be doing it on yourself. And then you learned one symbol with that attunement. Then once you go into Reiki 2, you're able to do more, because this time you're able to actually start doing distant Reiki. Okay. With Reiki 1, you don't learn distant healing or get the attunement to be able to send out to people. And so with Reiki 2, you actually learn 2 additional symbols, which one of them being the distant symbol. So that's why I'm able to send to you, because I got the attunement, and then I'm able to do the symbols with you. So that way that energy will go over to you and you'll be able to feel me tap in.
Those symbols are the symbols that you're making as you're moving over somebody's body?
Yes. Okay. It's kind of, no. So some symbols you do, you only need to just do once. Some symbols you do it in each way, each chakra or each part of the body that you're tending to. But it just depends, because you can get to a certain area and you feel a certain type of energy, and your intuition will tell you, hey, you need to do such and such symbol here. And put more power into this particular area. So then you'll do that symbol. But throughout, you don't have to do every single symbol on every single area, only if you're called to do it. So if spirit's telling you, or their body, your inner person saying, hey, come here, then that's when you're going to go there. And then you'll just have that knowing of what will be needed in that particular area. So I was saying earlier, once you tap into someone's energy field, it's kind of like tapping into your higher self.
This
so
sounds like
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, this sounds like Cindy has said, an intimate experience for you and your client. So how do you decide? Have you ever decided that this isn't the client that I'm going to service this time? Like, I don't feel like, how do you determine whether or not you're going to accept a client? Because being that it's such a, intimate space, do you do your cleansing and like protection and then decide I can accept anybody? Or do you decide based on like meeting them and having a conversation with them, and then you go back, do your routine, your ritual, and then service them? How do you determine that? Because I feel like there's been people, I've walked down streets and people are like, oh, I feel your energy. And like, then they tried to offer it that way, which I know is probably bigger in areas that like Hollywood and, where you're walking by a bunch of people. I think I've had it done. Like somebody offered it to me when I was walking on the boardwalk in Venice. I'm like, no, I'm okay. Cause I don't know them either. Right. So how do you determine who your clients are? Or is it kind of like a meet and greet thing? And you're like, okay, sure.
It's like really just discernment. And I would say that with anybody, like just because someone is offering you a service, and even if they're offering for free, you have to use that discernment, that intuition within yourself, because that may not be a good person to provide it to you. They might have kind of like when you get a reading, right? If someone's offering you to do like a tarot reading or whatnot, just because they know how to do it, they could be going through all sorts of crap and not cleanse, not even bathe in the morning, because it's important for you to even do that, to cleanse yourself. And they're trying to give you that energy that they may have, even though they're, nice or whatever, can really tap onto you, or some people are energy vampires too. So they can pull that energy from you and you don't even know why you're not feeling like happy, so that's why it's very, very important for everyone to make sure you use your discernment within that. I haven't had anyone that I have not done it to before. I've heard of people telling people no before, and again, it is something I would do if I feel like they're just not ready. With any client, before you even start, you do have a conversation with them. And you really want to get into like where they're at, if they're having any problem areas. There's one thing that's cool with Reiki. So with Reiki, you're pretty much tapping into the energy field, but when you're speaking into that energy, it's really telling spirit, like, I want to provide them with that energy for their highest good, for their greater good. Not because it's not what I'm choosing. So like, if you come to me and be like, hey, my ankle's been hurting, I can go and give that Reiki to that area on top of the other areas. But if your higher self is saying, no, I want it on the knee more, then that energy is going to go to your knee, because it's not really about what the practitioner wants. It's what your higher self wants. So whatever you truly need, Reiki's going to give you what you need. What you say. Some people, it's just not their time. So if it comes, like if I come across a person and their energy is just like not there that day, I can let them know like, hey, maybe we can do it another time. Or give them some pointers like, hey, I feel some tenseness, or I feel whatever it may be. Good idea. Why don't you give yourself a self-love bath? Here's some cool crystals. Do like a rose quartz, put in there some roses, like do some essential oil in there, maybe drop a few lavender drops in there from essential oil. And then come back to me. How do you feel? Because sometimes people just have bad days, sometimes people are just not in that alignment, but you do want to help, because what you end up finding out with Reiki, like, we tend to have a lot of built up trauma, and you don't want to just let people like go just because of trauma. You always want to try to help as much as you can. So even if I can't give you a session, I'd be like, hey, maybe I'll just send you a Reiki bubble. Maybe I'll just send you some tips on what you can do. But also, again, protecting my energy. If I know like I'm not up to that, then it's very important not to do it. So even with all my protection that I can do before and after, it's very important to also have that discernment as a practitioner, like, hey, no. But again, just for people in general, just have caution with anything. Kind of like when you have caution on places that you eat. Like, you may look at the reviews and be like, did you pass the inspection? Or let me look at the reviews for this place. You definitely want to do that. And especially when someone's going to be tapping into your energy field. So definitely, like, if someone tags you in the middle of the street and say, hey, let's do this, definitely follow your intuition. If you don't know how, just sit still, like, take a few breaths, take like 4 deep breaths. I like to do the 4-4-4. So there's like inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. That's like my chant. And then see what your higher self is telling you. If your higher self is comfortable and says yes, then do it. But if your higher self is like, not today, it's just probably not the day for you to even do that. It could be not that they're a bad person. It's just not right for you at that moment. So definitely always use discernment when someone's going to be doing energy work on you.
So it feels like, I've had 2 sessions, right? Like I've had an in-person session a few years ago when I was in New York at this conference. And then I had the pleasure of Danny did one, a distant one for me. I didn't even know if you know, but that was like the day before my birthday. So it was like special that we did it that day. It seems like, this is like another tool that you can add to, like someone can add to their toolkit in terms of like, self-care and staying aligned and like staying balanced, just like therapy, right? And so it's not something that you have to only do once in a while. You can do it kind of consistently. So to that point, do you encourage people to do it consistently? Like, do you have clients that you see on like a reoccurring basis? And if so, like, what would be the like recommended encouragement? Like, is this like a once a month tune-up? Because like you said, like things change, right? And things happen, and maybe like you're feeling some sort of way this month and you're like, I can't wait till my next tune-up so that I can release all of this or get this work. How often would you say that would be good to practice?
So it depends on the person, right? So I would say typically when you go to a Reiki session, they'll have like a paper. And they usually I know from my training, you'll be able to write down key things that you felt within certain areas. So that way, when the person comes back, then okay, these are the rough areas. Let's see how they are this time. If it's, change for the better or whatever the case may be. So with some people, it is best. Some people may need, because they may have a lot of built up in certain areas. So one session's not going to be enough. So they may need to come back, a few times a month or at least once a month. Some people, again, with Reiki, when you get your attunement, you're able to do like the chakra cleansing, you can do aura cleansing, and you can do a Reiki session. And when you do like an in-person, you're getting all 3 anyways, which is like a bonus, So it just really depends on that. And again, with that discernment, like if you feel like I really liked how this felt, this has benefited me in this type of way. After I did receive the session, I'm going to go ahead and make another one. Make another appointment. So it really just depends on where you're at. I would say when it comes to like chakra balancing, for me, I feel like that is something that everyone probably should do like monthly, just to see where you're at. Because when you're really like balanced, then you feel like on the top of the world, really. It's just like, you just feel like so like really just flowy. Like you're just like, ooh, like you don't feel any blockages anywhere. But Reiki too, Reiki is just a type of healing modality as well, because you can literally like have a headache, do some Reiki on it, that can help. I remember my Reiki master, he was talking about one of his children had hurt themselves. And his main thing that he always does, he goes right and Reiki that area. Like, and again, just like how our bodies naturally know how to heal itself. Like you can go and hit your knee bleeding, but you can put a Band-Aid on it, but it's not the Band-Aid is that going to close that cut. It's your body's natural, mind is going to close that cut like it never even happened. Mm-hmm. And same with our energy fields, we have like this internal power within ourselves to help heal. It may take a long time, or we may use stuff to mask it, but our body's still doing the healing that it needs. And so when you have different healing modalities, it helps speed up that process, or it helps you acknowledge that there's some healing that is needed. Because sometimes we're so busy within our lives, we don't realize like, oh crap, like I probably need some water, or I probably need, a tune-up. Like I need a green juice. Like I need something that is going to help my body. But, I've been so busy, I didn't even realize it's 9:00 at night. I'm 8, So it's very important to really have those healing properties. So even if you don't even want to be a practitioner, you can just get like Reiki 1, get attuned, which is learning how to do Reiki on yourself, and you can just do it yourself. Like you can give Reiki to dogs, cats, like you can even give Reiki to your car. Like you can pretty much anything, which is so amazing. And it really helps. Again, it's energy. Like all of us are energy fields. Like they say, like we are spirits, and so it's good to make sure those engines that we have within ourselves are always going. Like we're giving tune-ups, we're giving it the oil and all that good stuff, the oil changes and gas in it. Like it's very important that we do that with really everything within our lives. So with Reiki, I know as practitioners, it says like, no, it's beneficial for us to just do it on ourselves on a daily. So wake up. Like if you don't have time to do like each different, section, then just do a quick little Reiki shower. Like boom, done. Like that's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, you're done. So, again, if you don't want to go into a practitioner, it's good just to have that extra and learn how to tap in to that life force energy, so you can just do yourself. And even with that, if your daughter or your son is having like a hard time, give it to them. Like I've done it on like 2 of my kids before, like with my Reiki 1, and they loved it. Like it's so funny. My son Cameron, he used to always have these bad dreams. He used to say, oh, this guy is like, he's a bad guy. He's in a park and he's like trying to get me. And so when I first got my Reiki certification, he was like, yeah, let's, can you do a session on me? And I was like, no. And I was like, all right, fine. So I did a session on him. And, there's different ways for you to do it. I had them just sit in a chair. And then we did those different sections just in a chair. And after that, and I was like, hey, how was it? Did you see anything? Like, and he was telling me that he's seen the guy, but like it wasn't gloomy anymore. It was bright. He's seen grass, he's seen buildings. And he said the guy changed. The guy was nice. And I was like, and I was just like, wow, like, again, with that session, I never went into that session like, oh, let's get the bad guy. I didn't even think about that. It was just like, oh, I just want a session. And I remember him talking about those bad dreams before. And like I was saying earlier, Reiki will go to wherever it needs to go to. You can tell me that your knee hurts. I can do some Reiki there and just do you a full session, but that energy is going to go to where your higher self is telling us that it needs to go, And for him, it went to that crown area, that higher self, that scaredness that he had, and it was able to clear out and soothe that for him. And it wasn't up to me, it's not really up to our practitioners where your energy is saying to go. We are only going with what your body tells us, and then we, typically won't know everything until you tell us like, oh, this is what happened. Cause we're just like, hey, it's saying to stay here for 2 more minutes. So I'm just going to say, and your solar plexus for 2 more minutes. Well, it's telling me to stay on your feet for, one extra minute. Don't stay on your foot there, you know, and then the person tells us, they're like, oh, it's because of this, you know, and it's just like, wow, it's incredible how the body works, you know?
Yeah. You mentioned, and I'm curious because I just wanted to clarify. So you mentioned it's good for everybody to balance their chakras, right? Is that receiving Reiki, or is there something that people can do just with themselves without pursuing Reiki? Is there a chakra balancing exercise that they can do to help balance it before pursuing Reiki, or is that basically Reiki?
So that's just one thing. So when you receive Reiki, you get a aura cleansing, a chakra cleansing, and then Reiki in general. So you get all three things. So they're three different, but they're all really intertwined when you get a session.
Okay.
And so with a chakra cleansing, like with Reiki, I would recommend it for everybody because I see how it has benefited me. But if you don't want to do Reiki, you are able to do a chakra cleansing. Now, chakra cleansing is something they teach you when you get certified in Reiki. But if you want to really just tap into a certain chakra, there's a lot of meditations out there that you can utilize. Say that you want to work on your heart chakra, right? There's some crystals you can use too. Some practitioners utilize crystals and they'll put the crystals on you, on your different chakras when they do your Reiki session. And so you can go ahead and grab like a rose quartz. And because you want to kind of clear that out and you just have that intuition like, my heart chakra is not feeling too right, then you can go into like a meditation on that. You can utilize the crystal for that. Well, within that meditation are just really carrying around that crystal or whatever practices that you utilize with crystals. And that will also help with you balancing, because what happens is a practitioner is able to tell you what areas that you will need a little bit more work on, but then they'll give you some tools on what you can do to work in that area. So that way, if you do come back for another session, they can, they'll go through everything again and see that it has some improvements. Getting that Reiki session, again, when we're going through each chakra or different parts of the body, a lot of times you're going to receive messages. And so for me, like I will receive like an intuitive message like, hey, you have a lot in your heart space. You're not expressing yourself the way you need to. This is the message I'm getting. So message I'm also getting is you need to do this, this, and this to help you with that. Maybe you need to journal more. Maybe you just need to show more compassion for the people that you're a little bit hard on, and that will help that clearance. So with the Reiki, you will receive those messages. And it's cool too, because I will receive messages and sometimes people will receive messages too. Depending on the person, they may or may not know that they're receiving a message too, because it's just really on how tapped in you are. And again, when it comes to intuition, some people are just not as in tune or don't trust their intuition fully yet. So they don't really trust what they're hearing. So as you really start to build on that intuition, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is the message I'm receiving. So I'll go ahead and do what, my intuition tells me to do. So it's just like one of those things. Like Reiki, it works, but you'll get the tools that you need to heal those areas.
Yeah.
That's so dope. I love that. I love that you added, like, you talk more about chakra healing, other things that people can do First of all, this whole conversation has been really dope. So I just want to, again, thank you for being here and sharing all this with us, because I've learned so much.
No, I'm glad we're recording.
Yeah, as you said, right? But just like the last question before we wrap up and before you get to share about some other stuff that you're doing. If someone is like super new to all this, right, and they, don't know about rose quartz or don't know where to find meditations, but they want to start learning about chakras and doing some healing work, where would you suggest they start?
So I like books, even YouTube. Like, again, with YouTube, you can use your discernment, but just getting the basics out of it, you're able to find some people who will tell you some more about that. Again, one of the books that I have that was recommended by my teacher, which this book is just like, it's not about just chakras. It talks about like acupuncture and all types of stuff. It's called The Subtle Body. And it's really cool because it really taps into chakras, but it taps into the colors and what it means, the history of it. And then also, if you want to know more about your body and why it flows the way it does and why chakras are important, this is a great book because it actually really goes over the human body and your nervous system, your respiratory system. And so you're able to really like tap into like, oh crap. Like it all
here. We like cuss words here. It's okay.
It's called The Subtle Body by Cindy Dale. So it's
cool. I'll definitely be sure to link that in the show notes and on our Instagram so folks can check that out. Thank you.
Yeah.
That one's perfect just to learn about your energetic fields just in general. What is it in there? Ayurveda, reflexology, acupuncture, like it tells you about all that good stuff. Another book, if you're interested in Reiki and you don't want to go to class yet, one of the books that we got recommended by our teacher is the Reiki Manual, which is like a training guide for students and stuff. But it's really cool because it really breaks it down. You learn more once you get into like an actual class, of course, because they can't really disclose every single thing within these books, really. But you'll get more of the history of it. You actually are able to see like the different type of symbols and utilizing them and how you're able to use Reiki on like everything. That one is a really cool book by Penelope Quest. And then I had one more. And, I like this one as well. This one is called A Modern Reiki Method for Healing. It's by Hiroshi Dao. And I'll, send that over to you guys. But that one's also a good book as well if you want to learn about Reiki. But mainly, the main book, if you want to just learn about energy healing and the body, is definitely that Subtle Body book. It's really, really good just to know what's going on. It even goes over like your foot and different parts of your foot, what it means and what system it's tied to. It's
wow. Yeah. That's dope.
That's so
cool.
That's so dope.
Really cool.
Cool. Well, thank you again. I do want to, get all of y'all out of here. But I really appreciate this conversation. This is one that we're highly anticipating because clearly we could talk about this all day and ask questions all day about it. This is something we're highly interested in. So we really appreciate you coming and just sharing, about your practice and about Reiki and healing work. I want to give you the opportunity to, shout out where people can find you, what kind of offerings you have right now. And all that jazz. So let us know where we can find you and what you're doing and what you're up to.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Kai's Creation, KAISCREATION. I will be opening up to doing a few, I've been called to do a few more free distant healing sessions, especially for people who's never had it before and are just really curious about it. I definitely want to open that up so I can get you a little bit of education on it, and then also give you a session. So definitely, if you're interested, go ahead and DM me, and then we can set up a time. I also do readings as well. I utilize tarot or oracle cards, but for the most part, I pretty much just go about whatever Spirit tells me, the message that you need, and really just tap into that. And again, I'm just here to help, in any way possible. I'm here to just guide people on how we can really start to heal ourselves. I know within my generation, we have a lot of built up trauma that we didn't realize was trauma. So just learning how to get over those aspects of, not really get over them, I don't want to say that, but heal from those are also different things that you can utilize when those feelings or emotions or whatever it may be comes up. So we love to be a listening ear for anyone. Again, if you're interested in Reiki or even a reading, just go ahead and DM me. I will be having my setup pretty soon, and which will be kaiscreation.com, but I'll keep you posted on my Instagram.
Yes, that's dope. We'll definitely encourage folks to send you them DMs. Get your thank you so much. Yeah. I think it's so important. We talk about healing so much in our podcast. So this is like perfect alignment right here. Unless Sydney, do we have anything for that is our awareness
for the month? I think just in continuing on with thinking about wellness and things, and because April is Stress Awareness Month, this, is the perfect time to be working on and getting some of that healing done. So, just spreading awareness for that. If you haven't already done something to celebrate yourself or to, be done something to release some stress for yourself this April, go ahead and do that, as we are at the end of the month. So go ahead and get you some you time, take care of yourself, get a reading, get some Reiki done, journal, do all of that jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we will leave you with a quote, which again, it talks about healing, because that's what we're all about today. Healing takes courage, and we all have courage, even if we have to dig a little to find it, by Tori Amos.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Alrighty. Well, if you are still here, we thank you for listening to episode 11 of season 2 of the Ari and Sid Show. Thank you, Danny, again for coming on and being our guest and just educating us today. And if you like this episode, feel free to like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.